Hey guys, it's Core Ross and welcome to Busting Rainbow Six Siege. Today we are myth-busting the new operator Tubarao, who is our new Portuguese operator. Now, normally in these videos I try to cover just about everything so that you'll get a good idea just watching this video to know how to play this guy and do great with him. However, the problem is this guy interacts with every single gadget out there. So we'd probably need a 20-part series to get through the whole lot. So I'm going to give you some baseline rules that you can follow that will actually get a bunch of the basics out of the way and be hopefully quite simple to understand. So we'll begin with the mute-like effect. Now this means that you can kind of think of this thing as a mute jammer when the ice comes out and it freezes everything, because it will stop things like Dokkaebi calling you as a defender, which is quite nice. And presumably this is because your phone is getting flash frozen, so it is just not working at that moment, including all other gadgets that are in its radius. But also, it'll affect every defender gadget. It'll switch them all off. So you have to think of this as a mute jammer that also affects defender gadgets. However, the effect has not just been copied and pasted over from mute, it actually does have some important differences. So for instance, when Lion scans you, you can run through the ice, and with a mute jammer it would normally hide you, but with the ice it will not because there's nothing there for it to freeze. So the developers have actually gone and thought, right, the gadget's not in the ice, so it's still going to work. The effect also extends to operators with gadgets on their bodies. So think of, for instance, if she's outside of the ice, she can boost her team and gives them all health. But if one of her teammates is in the ice, they don't get that boost. And also if she's in the ice, she can't do the boost at all. Same with Blitz's shield, it'll act like it's jammed. It will not activate and flash when in the ice. Then we've got the second effect that this gadget has, and I'm going to call this the freezing effect, where it pauses everything. So again, this affects defenders and attacker gadgets, and I literally mean everything. So electronic devices, mechanical devices, so you can think like Ram's little tanks, they'll just pause and then they'll continue after they defrost. Same with attacker drones and even like echo drones on defense or Mozzie drones. And then this extends out to all placeable objects, so of course thermite charges, Hibana charges, ace charges, secondary hard breach, Ash's breaching round, Kali's lance. And honestly, the things it actually has least effect on is frag grenades and impact grenades. And it should be noted that the freezing effect does not do any damage to players or gadgets, it simply stops the gadgets. It will not damage any gadget whatsoever. So you can certainly slow down Thermite getting through a reinforced wall, but you cannot stop him. You'll need a Kaid or a Bandit to help you. And then finally you have the slowing effect, which is like, say, barbed wire or Melusi's gadgets, and this will slow attackers down. It should be noted that this only slows down attackers. Defenders can run through completely fine. However, you should note that if you're in that ice effect, you create more noise as you breathe. So take that into consideration when you're both on attack and defense, that when you're in this ice, you are much more audible, and people will be able to get a fix on you far quicker. Now that leads us into actually what's going to be our first myth. Is this Rainbow Six Siege's best troll operator? And the reason I say this is he affects every defender gadget out there, including operators like Goyu. Because if you want to troll a Goyu player, you can freeze his gadget, then detonate them, and there's no fire. And I'll even inject another myth into this one, which is the actual fire itself when it's going off. If you go and freeze it, the fire still sticks around. It would have been kind of cool if the fire disappeared, and this would have been useful against, say, Capital. But that one's certainly busted. Now, he also affects other defenders like, say, Capcan. So let's imagine there's a Capcan trap set up and there's an attacker coming straight towards it. You could always freeze those Capcans so they will not actually detonate when the attacker comes through. Same with frost traps. You can freeze them so attackers will not be affected by them. And this will also disable all friendly gadgets, so say Maestro turrets and stuff like that. They will all get switched off. Echo drones will fall off the ceiling. So yeah, I'm going to say confirmed, this guy is the best troll operator in this game, and I actually believe he will be used to troll fellow defenders. Now let's talk about the complexity of this device, because it is actually extremely complicated and you can use it wrong in so many ways. So we'll start by breaking down this interaction here with Kaid, because normally you might be confused by this. So this is an example of Kaid putting down an electrical. It takes 4 seconds for it to activate. Simple, right? Now, let's imagine that Thermite is trying to breach this reinforced wall and he starts his device, and then we ice up the wall. So of course that stops the Thermite charge. So you, a Kaid player, you come across and you go, oh yeah, let's put down my claw, we'll electrify it, destroy the thermite charge, all good. However, you'll notice as soon as we get rid of the ice, it takes 4 seconds for the electrical to actually electrify the wall. Now it'd be good if the visual that actually shows that it's activating was still present after defrost, because otherwise players are probably just going to think this is bugged and not working as intended, where actually it's working perfectly fine. So when these two operators are working together, it is paramount that they are communicating to make sure there's no overlap in their effects, which are going to cause the hard breacher to actually get through. Also, it should be noted that if you already have your electrical on the wall and it's active like we have here, and the electrical gets frozen, it doesn't need the reactivation time. As soon as the ice is gone, it will fry anything on the other side. Also, use that to your advantage as well, because if thermite puts something on the wall, you electrify it, or it was already electrified and it didn't get EMP'd or something like that, immediately destroy the canister yourself and take away the ice, so the electrical effect does return and immediately takes out the device. Don't let the attackers have any extra time to do anything. And that's always an important thing to remember as a defender when using this device. Sometimes it is good to destroy the canister, remove the ice, and especially because it affects everything, including all the defender gadgets, you could be disabling something you don't want to, and that way giving the attackers more opportunities. So you want to control this thing quite a lot. Now let's talk about a myth that could have really been on the Mythbuster TV show, and that is ice is an insulator. So when I first seen this gadget, I thought it's a bit weird that it actually stops the electrical effects on the wall. Surely both of those things should exist at the same time, the frost and the electrical effects. Then I looked up and yes, ice is actually a really good electrical insulator. So believe it or not, that's actually confirmed. So now let's talk about Bandit. So this is a little bit different from Kaid. You put the batteries down, and because there's no activation time with Bandit batteries, they're just instantly on. But I will say they're definitely a little bit buggy in the test server, where the electrical effect comes back and it looks fine, but someone can still hard breach it, no problem. So there's going to be issues, and hopefully this test server will kind of weed them all out. But this is one of those kind of things where I'm like, will they be able to fix everything with this guy? Because there's so much. So yeah, I hope they're able to get it fixed. And this is why we have a test server as well, so that hopefully this stuff can get fixed. But yeah, I would say it's confirmed that this new guy synergizes beautifully with Bandit once the bugs are gone, because he can just put down his batteries, he can work around the EMPs and stuff going off, and these two can work probably with no communication and do really well. So if you're a solo queuer and you want to play the new operator, or you play Bandit, you're going to actually work really well with this new operator for stopping hard breaches, and the two of you should pretty much be unstoppable when it comes to people busting through your reinforced walls. And that takes us to the end of part 1. We'll be back with part 2, which hopefully will round out all this guy's abilities quite neatly. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.